I cut off my wife's credit cards and discovered her secret. The bank statement I found hidden under her pillow showed $73,000 in secret spending over 6 months. But that's not even the shocking part. When I confronted her about the mystery charges, luxury hotels, expensive dinners, jewelry I'd never seen her wear, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "You have no right to question how I spend my money." Our joint account that I'd been funding alone for 8 years was suddenly her money. But what I discovered when I hired a private investigator to follow those credit card receipts destroyed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. If you're into honest stories about relationships, trust, and betrayal, hit that follow button. You won't want to miss the next one. Let me start from the beginning, because this story gets absolutely insane. My wife Jennifer and I had been married for 8 years. I thought we had a good thing going. I worked as an engineer making decent money. She had a part-time job at an art gallery that she claimed was more about passion than profit, and we lived in a nice house in the suburbs. But over the past year, something had changed. Jennifer had become increasingly entitled and dismissive. She'd stopped cooking, stopped cleaning, stopped doing pretty much anything around the house except spending money. I'd come home exhausted after 10-hour days to find takeout containers on the counter, shopping bags scattered around the living room, and Jennifer lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone like she was the queen of her own personal resort. "What's for dinner?" I'd ask. "I ordered Thai food. It's on the counter," she'd reply without even looking up. This became our daily routine, me working myself to death, her spending money we didn't have on things we didn't need. But the real wake-up call came on a Tuesday in March. I was trying to pay our credit card bill online when I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The balance was $47,000. We'd never carried more than a few $1,000s on our cards before. I started scrolling through the charges, and what I saw made no sense. Multiple charges at restaurants I'd never been to. Hotel stays in our own city when we were supposedly sleeping at home. Jewelry store purchases for thousands of dollars. Jewelry I'd never seen Jennifer wear. Spa treatments every single week. And the dates. They were all during business hours, when I was at work and she was supposedly at her gallery job. I printed out 6 months of statements and spread them across our dining room table. The pattern was unmistakable. Jennifer was living a completely different life during the day, and I was funding it without even knowing. When she walked in that evening, designer shopping bags in hand, I was waiting for her. "We need to talk," I said, gesturing to the papers covering the table. She glanced at the statements, and her face went pale for just a second before she composed herself. "What's all this?" "This is $73,000 in charges I don't recognize. Care to explain?" She crossed her arms and gave me a look that could freeze hell over. "I don't need to explain how I spend my money. Your money, Jennifer, these are our joint credit cards. I'm the only one putting money into our account." "Well, I'm your wife. That makes it my money too." The sheer audacity of it took my breath away. "So let me get this straight. I work 50 hours a week, I pay all our bills, I fund your lifestyle, but somehow this is your money that I have no right to question?" "That's exactly right. I didn't marry you to have you control every dollar I spend." "Control? Jennifer, you spent more in 6 months than some people make in a year, and I have no idea what any of this is for." She picked up one of the hotel receipts and waved it dismissively. "Sometimes I need to get away from the house. Sometimes I treat myself to nice meals. Sometimes I buy myself gifts because my husband never does. Is that a crime?" "Getting away from the house? Jennifer, these are hotel stays in our own city. Why would you need a hotel room 20 minutes from our house?" "Maybe because I need space from this interrogation you call a marriage." That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about money. This was about respect. And Jennifer had zero respect for me, for our marriage, or for the sacrifices I was making to give her the life she wanted. "You know what?" I said, pulling out my phone. "You're absolutely right. It's your money, so you can figure out how to pay for it yourself." Right there, while she watched, I called our credit card companies and removed her as an authorized user on every single account. Then I called our bank and moved my direct deposit to a new account in my name only. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "I'm giving you what you want. Financial independence. From now on, you can spend your own money however you want." "You can't do this." "Watch me." The next morning, I left for work with a clear conscience for the first time in months. I'd left Jennifer exactly $500 in our old joint account, enough for groceries for a week if she shopped smart. I had no idea what I was about to unleash. I got the first call around 11 a.m. My card was declined at lunch, Jennifer said, her voice tight with controlled anger. Fix it. There's nothing to fix. You said you wanted to spend your own money, remember? That's not what I meant. What did you mean then? Silence. Jennifer, you have a job. You make money. Spend that. My job barely pays anything. You know that. Then maybe you should find a better job or learn to live within your means. This is financial abuse. I almost laughed. Financial abuse is working myself to death while you spend $73,000 without telling me. Financial abuse is expecting me to fund your secret lifestyle while treating me like garbage in my own home. She hung up. The second call came at 2 p.m. I went to get gas and my card was declined. I'm stuck at the gas station. Use your debit card. I don't have enough money in my account. That sounds like a you problem. You're my husband. You're supposed to take care of me. I've been taking care of you for 8 years while you've been taking advantage of me. Figure it out. I hung up and turned off my phone. That evening, I came home to World War III. Jennifer was pacing around the living room like a caged animal, her phone pressed to her ear. She was talking to someone in a voice I'd never heard before. Desperate, pleading. I know, but something came up with my account. Can we reschedule for next week? Shanum. She saw me and quickly ended the call. We need to talk, she said. I'm listening. This has gone too far. You're embarrassing me. You're ruining my life. I'm ruining your life. Jennifer, I'm the one who's been paying for your life. That's what husbands do. Husbands support their wives. They don't fund secret lifestyles. They don't work like slaves while their wives treat them like ATMs. She started crying then, but something about the tears felt calculated. I'm sorry, okay? I know I've been spending too much, but you can't just cut me off like this. What will people think? What people? My friends, my people from work. Your friends will have to accept that you can't afford to keep up with their lifestyle. And your work. Jennifer, when was the last time you actually went to the gallery? She froze. What do you mean? I mean these hotel charges, these restaurant visits, these spa appointments. They're all during business hours. So either your job has the most flexible schedule in history, or what? Or you haven't been going to work. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Finally, she whispered, I've been taking some personal days. Some personal days? Jennifer, this is 6 months of charges. I needed time to think, to figure things out. Figure what out? Figure out if I was happy. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Are you serious right now? You've been spending our life savings to figure out if you're happy? It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You've been living like a single woman with no responsibilities while I've been working myself to death to pay for it. That's when she said something that changed everything. Maybe I should be single. I stared at her, waiting for her to take it back, to say she didn't mean it, but she didn't. She just stood there, defiant and defensive, like she was daring me to react. Maybe you should be, I said quietly. Her defiance cracked. What? Maybe you should be single. Maybe we both should be. I didn't mean, yes, you did. And you know what? You're right. A single woman can spend her own money however she wants. She can figure out her own happiness. She can take care of herself. I walked toward the bedroom. Where are you going? To pack your bags. What happened next was 3 hours of chaos. Jennifer cycled through every emotion possible. Anger, denial, bargaining, depression, and back to anger. She screamed, she cried, she threatened, she pleaded. But I was done. I'd spent 8 years watching the woman I loved transform into someone I didn't recognize. Someone who saw me as nothing more than a funding source for her selfish desires. Someone who could spend $73,000 behind my back and then have the audacity to call it her money. You can't just throw me out, she sobbed as I loaded her suitcases into her car. I'm not throwing you out. I'm setting you free to find your happiness somewhere else, with someone else's money. Where am I supposed to go? The same place you've been going during all those hotel stays. She gave me a look that confirmed what I'd been suspecting. That's different, she said. I'm sure it is. As she drove away, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. But the story doesn't end there. Because 3 days later, I got a call that changed everything. Mr. Stevens, this is Detective Martinez with the Fraud Division. We need to talk to you about your wife's spending patterns. My blood went cold. What kind of fraud? The kind that involves identity theft, forged signatures, and approximately $150,000 in unauthorized charges across multiple accounts. I sat down hard. I think you have the wrong person. My wife spent about $73,000, not $150,000. Sir, that's just what she spent on the cards you knew about. The next morning, I was sitting in a police station conference room, staring at evidence that painted my wife as someone I'd never known at all. Detective Martinez spread out bank statements, credit applications, and surveillance photos across the table. Your wife opened 7 different credit cards using your information over the past year, she explained. She's been forging your signature on loan applications, using your social security number for identity verification, and even took out a second mortgage on your house without your knowledge. I stared at the documents in disbelief. How is that possible? She had access to all your personal information, your banking details, your credit history. It's actually more common than you'd think in marriages where one spouse handles all the finances. But I handle the finances. Sir, look at these signatures. She showed me a stack of loan applications. The signatures looked exactly like mine, but I'd never seen these documents before in my life. She's been practicing your signature, Detective Martinez continued, and she's gotten very good at it. The room spun around me. What was she doing with all this money? That's where it gets complicated. She pulled out another stack of photos. These were surveillance images from hotel security cameras, restaurant security systems, and ATM cameras. In every single photo, Jennifer was with the same man. Tall, well-dressed, clearly expensive tastes. Who is he? Marcus Webb. He's 45, divorced, and has a very interesting criminal history involving financial fraud and targeting married women. My stomach dropped. She was being scammed? Or she was part of the scam? We're still investigating. Over the next 2 hours, Detective Martinez laid out a pattern that made my head spin. Jennifer hadn't just been spending money recklessly. She'd been systematically draining our accounts to fund a relationship with a con artist. The hotel stays weren't her needing space. They were romantic getaways. The expensive dinners weren't her treating herself. They were dates. The jewelry purchases weren't for her to wear. They were gifts for him. But here's the really sick part. Marcus had been coaching her on how to extract more money from me. We have recordings, Detective Martinez said, pulling out her phone. Marcus wore a wire during some of their meetings because he was also working with the FBI on another case. She pressed play and I heard Jennifer's voice clear as day. He's getting suspicious about the spending. I told him it was my money, but he's not buying it anymore. Then you need to make him feel guilty for questioning you, Marcus's voice replied. Tell him he's being controlling. Tell him he's financially abusing you. Make him the bad guy. What if he cuts me off? Then we move to phase 2. Take out loans in his name. Open new credit cards. Clean out everything you can before he figures it out. And then what? Then you divorce him, take half of what's left, and we disappear together. I sat in that conference room, listening to my wife of 8 years planning my financial destruction, and felt something die inside me. There's more, Detective Martinez said gently. She showed me bank records proving that Jennifer had been moving money to offshore accounts. She'd been planning to disappear with Marcus for months. The worst part? The $150,000 was just the beginning. If I hadn't cut her off when I did, they would have destroyed my credit, taken out massive loans against our house, and left me with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. What happens now? I asked. We arrest them both. Wire fraud, identity theft, forgery. They're looking at serious prison time. 2 days later, I watched from my living room window as police cars pulled up to Jennifer's sister's house, where she'd been staying since I kicked her out. She was led away in handcuffs, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just a hollow emptiness where my love for her used to be. The woman I'd married, the woman I'd worked myself to exhaustion for, the woman I'd built my life around, she'd never existed. It had all been an act, a long con designed to bleed me dry. The trial lasted 6 months. Jennifer tried to claim she was a victim of Marcus's manipulation, but the evidence was overwhelming. The recorded conversations, the forged signatures, the secret bank accounts. It all painted a picture of calculated, deliberate fraud. Marcus got 8 years in federal prison. Jennifer got 5, plus she had to pay restitution for every penny she'd stolen. I got my life back. The house felt different after she was gone. Quieter, cleaner, but also lighter somehow. I wasn't coming home to chaos anymore. I wasn't walking on eggshells, wondering what financial disaster she'd created while I was at work. I started cooking again. Real meals, not takeout. I started reading again. Something I'd given up because Jennifer always complained I was ignoring her. I started going out with friends, something she discouraged because she didn't like my crowd. Slowly, I remembered who I used to be before I became Jennifer's personal ATM. 6 months after the trial ended, I was at a coffee shop when I saw her sister, Maria. We'd always gotten along well, and I felt bad that Jennifer's crimes had probably affected her too. "David," she called out, approaching my table cautiously. "How are you doing?" "Better than I expected," I said honestly. "How's your family handling everything?" She sat down looking tired. "It's been hard. Jennifer keeps calling from prison, asking for money for commissary, asking us to visit. Are you? I went once." She spent the entire time talking about how this was all your fault, how you trapped her in an unhappy marriage, how Marcus was the only person who ever truly understood her. I shook my head. Even now, she can't take responsibility. That's what I told her. I said, "Jennifer, the man worked himself to death providing for you, and you repaid him by stealing from him and planning to destroy his life." You know what she said? "What? He never really loved me. He just wanted to control me." Maria leaned forward. "David, I need you to know something. Jennifer was always like this, even as a kid. She always thought the rules didn't apply to her, that she deserved special treatment. My parents spoiled her rotten, and she never learned that actions have consequences. Why didn't you warn me? I tried in subtle ways. Remember when you guys were dating, and I mentioned that she'd gotten in trouble in college for using someone else's credit card?" I did remember. Jennifer had explained it away as a misunderstanding, a friend letting her borrow their card for emergencies. "I thought marriage might change her," Maria continued. "I thought having someone who loved her, who provided for her, who gave her stability, I thought that might be enough. I was wrong." "We all were." Maria reached across the table and touched my hand. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what she did to you, and I'm sorry that our family brought this chaos into your life. You don't need to apologize for her choices. I know, but David, you were good to her. You were good to all of us. You deserve so much better." That conversation gave me something I didn't know I needed. Closure. For months, I'd been wondering if I could have done something different, if I could have saved our marriage, if cutting her off financially had been too harsh. But hearing from someone who'd known Jennifer her entire life, hearing that this was a pattern that went back decades, it confirmed what I'd started to suspect. There was no version of this story where Jennifer became a loving, supportive partner. She was incapable of it. A year after the trial, I was completely transformed. I'd lost 30 pounds, gotten back into hobbies I'd forgotten I enjoyed, and reconnected with friends who drifted away during my marriage. I'd also gotten a promotion at work. Turns out when you're not constantly stressed about financial chaos at home, you perform better professionally. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, just casual dinners and movies with women who actually wanted to spend time with me, not just spend my money. The house was finally mine. I'd redecorated, removing every trace of Jennifer's expensive, impractical tastes and replacing them with things I actually liked. Simple, functional, comfortable. One evening, I was grilling dinner on the back patio when my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but something made me answer. "David, it's me." Jennifer's voice hit me like ice water. "How did you get this number? I have my ways. Listen, I need to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. Please, just hear me out. I've been doing a lot of thinking in here, and I realize I made mistakes. Mistakes? I almost laughed. Jennifer, you committed felonies, multiple felonies, against me. I know, but I was manipulated. Marcus convinced me that you didn't really love me, that you were just using me. He made me believe that taking the money was justified. So this is still Marcus's fault? No, I mean partly, but I take responsibility for my actions. I'm in therapy now, working on myself. I'm different. Good for you. David, I get out in 18 months. When I do, I want to make this right. I want to pay you back, apologize properly, maybe even work on us again. The sheer audacity of it left me speechless. Us? Jennifer, there is no us. There hasn't been an us since I discovered you were planning to financially destroy me and disappear with another man. But I didn't. I never went through with it. Only because you got caught. People change, David. People grow. I've learned from this experience. I'm sure you have, but I've learned from it too. I've learned that I'm happier without you. I've learned that I deserve better than someone who sees me as a piggy bank to be broken. I've learned that love without respect isn't love at all. Silence on the other end. Please don't give up on us. I'm not giving up on us, Jennifer. There never was an us. There was just me working myself to death while you planned my destruction. I hung up and immediately blocked the number. That night, I sat on my back patio with a beer, looking up at the stars, and felt something I'd forgotten was possible. Complete peace. I'd spent 8 years of my life with someone who saw me as nothing more than a source of funding for her selfish desires. Someone who could look me in the eye every day while planning to destroy me financially and emotionally. But I'd also learned something valuable. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them immediately. Jennifer had shown me she was someone who could lie, steal, and manipulate without remorse. Someone who could plan my destruction while sleeping next to me every night. Someone who could steal $150,000 from me and then call it finding herself. The money was never really about the money. It was about respect, about partnership, about seeing your spouse as an equal human being rather than a resource to be exploited. Jennifer never saw me as a partner. She saw me as a mark. And once I finally understood that, everything else became clear. 2 years later, I'm remarried to an amazing woman named Sarah who pays her own bills, has her own career, and treats me like an actual partner instead of a walking ATM. We split expenses fairly, make decisions together, and most importantly, we respect each other. Sometimes Sarah asks me if I regret wasting 8 years with Jennifer. I tell her I don't regret it because it taught me the most important lesson of my life. Never confuse someone's need for your money with love for your person. Jennifer needed my money. Sarah loves me. That's a distinction worth $150,000 to learn. If this story opened your eyes about financial manipulation and the importance of recognizing when someone sees you as a resource instead of a partner, follow for more honest stories about relationships, money, and the strength to walk away when someone shows you who they really are. Because sometimes the most expensive lesson is also the most valuable.